Electric cars, they're absolutely everywhere, and man, does everyone have an opinion on them. But beyond all the headlines and the hype, what's really going on under the hood? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through the noise, separate the fact from the fiction, and get to the bottom of it. And that really is the big question, isn't it? Are electric cars actually the future? Or are they just a passing fad? To figure that out, we have to look past all the marketing and really understand how these things work. Okay, first things first, what are we even talking about here? The term electric car gets thrown around for a few different kinds of vehicles. So let's do a quick breakdown just so we're all on the same page. So let's start with what we all know, right? The good old gas car. It's got an internal combustion engine, or ICE. Then you've got your hybrid, the HEV. This one's kind of in the middle. It has a gas engine and a little electric motor, but, and this is key, you can't plug it in. And then we have the battery EV, or BEV. This is what most people mean when they say electric car. We're talking 100% electric, powered by a big rechargeable battery. No gas, no oil, no tailpipe. So, how does a pure EV actually get up and go? You'd be surprised. It's actually way simpler and, honestly, more elegant than a gas engine. Let's lift the virtual hood and take a look at the three main parts that make the magic happen. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here with the traction battery pack. The easiest way to think about this is as the car's fuel tank. It's this huge, flat pack of thousands of lithium-ion cells, kind of like in your phone, but way bigger, that sits right under the floor. This is where all the juice is stored, and it's stored as DC, or direct current. But here's the catch. The motor can't use that DC power. And that's where this incredibly clever device comes in, the inverter. You can think of it as the brain of the whole operation. It has one critical job: take that DC power from the battery and convert it into AC, or alternating current, which is exactly what the motor needs to spin. And this is what it's all for, the electric induction motor. This is the EV's engine. It takes that nice, fresh AC power from the inverter and uses it to create a rotating magnetic field. That field spins a rotor inside, and that rotation turns the wheels. It is incredibly simple, with so few moving parts. That's what makes it so powerful, so instantly responsive, and so reliable. So you can see this beautiful, simple flow of energy, right? The battery stores the DC power, the inverter flips it to AC, the motor uses that to create rotation and spin the wheels. That is it. No little explosions, no hundreds of pistons and valves and greasy parts, just clean, instantaneous power. Okay, so that's the how it works part. But what about the practical day-to-day stuff? How do you actually fill it up, and how far can you really go? Let's dive into the questions that pretty much everyone has when they think about actually living with one of these things. First, let's just quickly clear up two terms you're going to hear all the time: kilowatts and kilowatt hours. The best analogy is a gas tank. A kilowatt hour, or kWh, is the amount of energy you have. That's the size of your tank. A kilowatt, or kW, is the measure of power. That's how fast you're filling the tank. So kWh is your tank size, kW is the speed of the pump. Simple as that. So, how does that play out in the real world? Well, if you just plug into a standard wall socket at home, that's level 1 charging. It's slow, but perfect for topping up overnight. Now, if you get a dedicated wall box installed, that's level 2, and that can fill you up in just a few hours. But when you're on a road trip, you're going to look for a DC rapid charger. These things pump out huge amounts of power and can get you to an 80% charge in around half an hour. But wait, why only to 80%? This water bottle analogy is perfect. The car's computer is super protective of the battery. So when it's nearly full, it slows the charging speed way down to prevent any damage. That's why getting from, say, 10% to 80% feels super fast, but that last 20% can feel like it takes forever. Okay, and what about the cost? This is where things get really interesting. If you can charge at home on a cheap overnight electricity rate, a full tank can seriously cost you less than a fancy cup of coffee. Public rapid charging? Yeah, it's more expensive. But even then, look at it compared to gasoline. Filling up with gas is, by a huge margin, the most expensive way to fuel your car.
Of course, it's not all about the money. Owning an EV today, right now, involves some very real trade-offs. So let's be honest about it and do a head-to-head comparison with a normal gas car.
So the big trade-off is pretty clear. Yes, EVs usually cost more to buy up front, but from the moment you drive it home, the savings start kicking in. The running costs are a tiny fraction of a gas car's, not just on fuel, but on maintenance too. I mean, think about it. No oil changes, no filters, no spark plugs, none of that stuff. And that's before we even get to the fact that there are zero tailpipe emissions.
And let's put a hard number on those savings, because it's pretty wild. One major study found the average yearly cost to run an EV is just $485. For a gas car, over $1,100. That is less than half. Just imagine saving over $600 every single year, year after year. Over the life of the car, that's thousands of dollars right back in your pocket.
All right, let's quickly bust a few common myths that just seem to hang around. First up, fire risk. The media loves a good battery fire story, but the actual data shows that gasoline cars are way more likely to catch fire. Next, battery life. People worry it's going to die like an old smartphone, but these batteries are a different beast entirely. They're designed to outlast the car itself, easily going for hundreds of thousands of miles. And finally, that silent danger. It's a fair point, which is exactly why EVs are now legally required to make an artificial sound at low speeds to let pedestrians know they're there.
Now here's something that might just blow your mind. You probably think EVs are a totally new 21st century thing, right? Well, the truth is they have this surprisingly long and fascinating history. Let's take a quick look back to really see where we're going.
Get this. Back in the early 1900s, electric cars were at their peak. They were popular, they were clean, they were quiet, and they were easy to drive. But then, cheap gas and Henry Ford's mass-produced Model T came along and basically pushed EVs into extinction for almost 100 years. It really wasn't until the 2000s, with modern lithium-ion batteries and companies like Tesla, that the EV revolution was truly sparked back to life.
And this new revolution has created this amazing trend. There's a whole community of builders and gearheads out there taking beautiful classic cars and converting them into high-performance EVs. It's like the new hot rodding, blending that timeless style with totally modern, sustainable power.
Which brings us completely full circle. The very first cars that people really loved and bought were electric. And now, after this long, century-long detour through the age of oil, we're seeing them rise again. It leaves you with a pretty big thought to chew on. If the first popular cars were electric, is it possible that the last cars will be too?